Welcome back to another new episode of Round 2 Wrestling. I am Slim the Kid. Thank you for turning in to our big number 10 podcast. That is right, 10 in a row for 2022. I have a lot to go over, so stick with this episode. Starting off how we always do on Round 2 Wrestling, we will dive right into the rumors in the wrestling world. Per Wrestling Observer newsletter, WWE will refer to the winner of the Lesnar vs. Reigns fight at WrestleMania 38 as the unified WWE champion for as long as necessary. Again, we made a report last week on Round 2 Wrestling that this particular match was a unification match. However, don't look for there to be one champion for too long, and don't wait around for one champion to bounce around from Raw to SmackDown. WWE will make a second championship. It's just a matter of time. Per Wrestling Observer, Jeff Hardy and Shane Strickland, should be in AEW soon. For those of you who bought Revolution this past Sunday, you already know that the latter did make his debut at the pay-per-view. That's right, Shane Strickland is officially All Elite. We are just waiting on Jeff Hardy. That will probably happen sooner rather than later. On Wrestling Observer Live, Brian Alvarez said WWE was expecting an AEW HBO Max streaming deal and was totally caught off guard and surprised by Tony Khan's purchase of Ring of Honor. For those of you who missed Dynamite or have not been paying attention to any wrestling news this past week, Tony Khan made the announcement on Dynamite that he had purchased Ring of Honor. So now Ring of Honor falls under the AEW banner. Cassidy Haynes of Bodyslam.net announced that Cody Rhodes' talks with WWE have fizzled out. Possibly a new role in Ring of Honor is up Cody's alley. There is no reports as to why Cody Rhodes has not worked out with WWE. It was pretty well known that he did not get the contract extension that he wished in AEW, decided to break free from that and pursue another run in WWE, but it seems like that hasn't even gotten going, and they have already rejected him, or he has rejected them for whatever reason. Look for Cody to show back up on AEW TV soon, but more as a heel this time. Wrestling Observer Radio Dave Meltzer reported WWE's Triple H tried to get Vince McMahon to buy Ring of Honor back in 2018. Vince McMahon wanted something bigger, quote-unquote, and tried to buy AAA, NJPW, Noah, and failed to do so in every aspect. Looking back on this, Vince McMahon probably should have listened to Triple H and pursued Ring of Honor. Whether or not they would have sold to WWE is a different story, but it sounds like their chances may have been better a few years ago. Alright, that concludes the rumors portion of Round 2 Wrestling. We have a lot of news to talk about, and that is the next portion of this show. WWE shuts down WWE Network in Russia amid the ongoing war with Ukraine. We here at Round 2 Wrestling do not condone the war between Russia and the Ukraine, and certainly condone the actions of the Russian people and Vladimir Putin, the president of the Russian people, starting this unjust and undeniable war against the Ukraine. We hope that this inevitable history-changing event has a positive outcome, not only for the Ukrainian people, but for the Russian people as well, and that the global community takes notice of something like this, and that we are able to come together as one and say no more to war. AEW CEO and owner Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor from Sinclair Broadcast Group. We already covered this a little bit on the rumors portion earlier in the broadcast. Josh Alexander of Impact Wrestling re-signs with Impact for a multi-year deal. Also announced he will be getting a title shot. When that title shot is, nobody really knows. Josh Alexander made a surprise appearance at the Impact pay-per-view this past Saturday called No Surrender. Very good to see this hard-working Canadian back working with said company. I didn't anticipate his work visa or for his contract to be expired for very long. He is that good and that important to Impact. Fightful Select reports that former Impact wrestler Jake Something has been released and is now a free agent. No news as to why Impact decided to release him. He has just been released. Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch suffered a fractured voice box Sunday night, according to PWInsider.com. She is reported to be out for 2 weeks, but will be back to in-ring action by WrestleMania 38. The Raw Women's Champion has had a few health issues the last couple of years. This doesn't seem to be too big of a bump, but time off is needed. So hopefully we see Becky Lynch back in action sooner rather than later. All right, we have come to the halfway portion of Round 2 Wrestling, a quick show this week, but nonetheless a lot of information to go through. We will now dive into the results portion of Round 2 Wrestling. A lot happened this past week, not only on Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, and Rampage, but there were 2 pay-per-views this weekend, Impact's No Surrender and AEW's Revolution. We will start things off with AEW Revolution. Revolution took place Sunday. There were 4 title matches in this incredibly stacked card. All 4 champions walked in to the pay-per-view as champion. All 4 champions walked out of the pay-per-view as champions. The titles that were defended on the card were the Tag Team TBS Women's Championship and the Men's World Title. Tasha Steelz defeated Mickie James to become the Impact Knockouts champion last week. Violent by Design defeated the Good Brothers to become Impact Tag Team champions as well. The Influence defeated the Inspiration to become Impact Knockouts Tag Team champions. Ricochet defeated Sami Zayn to become the Intercontinental champion last Friday night on SmackDown. RK Bro defeated Raw Tag Team Champions Alpha Academy and the team of Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens last night on Monday Night Raw. There were a lot of title changes this past week. Again, mostly due to the Impact No Surrender pay-per-view on Sunday. WWE is getting ready for their WrestleMania run here in about 3 weeks. And again, AEW also had a pay-per-view, but none of their champions dropped their titles. All right, we will move on to the match of the week. The match of the week comes from Great Britain. That's right, across the pond, they do a little bit of wrestling too. And it comes from a little-known TV syndicate called World of Sport. English pro wrestling is a bit different. They actually have a set of rules and regulations that they go by. 8 5-minute rounds, a 2 out of 3 falls fight, submission or knockout only. This particular match that we will be talking about and took the title of Match of the Week was between lightweight champion Johnny Saint and Mick Mcmanus in an 18-minute classic. Catch-as-can style wrestling at its best. This was a masterclass of wrestling. Smooth transitions from hold to hold make this toe-to-toe match one of the greats. Lightweight champion Johnny Saint would win via disqualification, with challenger Mcmanus disqualified for closed fist punching. We have a ranking system here in Round 2 Wrestling for our match of the week. This particular match gets a 4 out of 5 belts. Not your typical Japanese, Mexican, or American style pro wrestling match. British pro wrestling is an entire thing on its own, and it is a beautiful sight to see. This is available on YouTube under World of Sport, and I would highly, highly recommend taking the time to at least watch a few matches from the 70s and 80s. It wasn't until the 90s where this particular style of wrestling would start to fall out of fashion, and the style of professional wrestling that you see pretty much around the world started to make its way onto British TV. All right, for our final portion of Round 2 Wrestling, we have our Michigan Highlight. Our Michigan Highlight is when we take a person or a promotion from the Great Lakes State and place them on a pedestal just for a few minutes and give them something nice to say about themselves, their career, or their promotion, and highlight that just a little bit. Our Michigan Highlight this week is Mark Letzman, a.k.a. Excalibur. Former pro wrestler and current commentator on AEW, Mark Letzman was born in Detroit, Michigan. Excalibur debuted in early 2000, but by 2003, Excalibur had jumped to California and formed Pro Wrestling Guerrilla with Super Dragon. Competing within promotions such as Combat Zone Wrestling and Ring of Honor, Excalibur would retire from in-ring action by 2011, citing health and safety issues for himself. In 2019, Excalibur was announced as part of the commentary team for AEW and has been a member ever since. All right, I am Slim the Kid. This is Round 2 Wrestling. I want to thank you for taking the time to listening to this podcast this week. Be sure to tune in next Tuesday as we bring you more information, more news, more rumors, more everything from the world of professional wrestling. Round 2 Wrestling is brought to you by Slim the Kid and Spreaker.com.